Hey everyone, it is Mindful Monday, week 3, and I know I'm a few minutes late to being live, some technical difficulties, but I'm really happy to be here with you today. So whether or not you're watching this live, it doesn't matter. I'm just really happy you're here joining me. So this week we are going to be talking about how to deal with uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable feelings, and how we can cultivate a sense of compassion for ourselves. Hey, Kathleen. I'm so glad you're joining us today. And today I feel like instead of talking a lot, most of this is going to be practice. I feel like there needs to be more practice, right? I can talk up the wazoo about a lot of things, but talking's not going to make a difference in your life, and that's what's most important to me. So, one of the things I want to talk about has to do with actually feeling those difficult emotions. A lot of times we've been advised or told sometime or some point in our life, whether that was by a relative, by ourselves, by a friend, by a coworker, by a TV show, whatever it might be, that if you're feeling something difficult, there's something wrong with you, or you shouldn't feel that way, or that if you're feeling this, the best way to deal with it is to push it away. And what ends up happening is when we do that, we can create more stress. We can create less compassion for ourselves, which then trickles out into the relationships that we have to other people. And when that happens, it can really cause, let me put it this way, it never feels good, right? But when we do these practices that I'm going to be sharing with you today, the idea is how can we actually sit with these uncomfortable emotions instead of pushing them aside, averting them in a way so that way we can feel really empowered to be with those emotions. Because when we do, on the other side of it is clarity. It's really kind of amazing when we pause and really allow ourselves to experience the emotion. And then the other thing we're going to be talking about today is compassion. And a lot of times, through different religious ideologies or moral ideologies, we talk about compassion for other people. But a lot of times we don't find compassion in ourselves first, right? And if we're not compassionate towards ourselves, it's much, much harder to find compassion towards other people or situations, and that can cause a lot of stress. So we're going to be experiencing and practicing some mindfulness exercises that both allow us to deal with any kind of discomfort or uncomfortable emotions, and then we're also going to be talking about how to create some self-compassion and allow that to trickle out. So let's get right into our practice today. So wherever you are, if you are at work, maybe just listen. If you have a moment, close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But maybe come back to this another time, later today. But if you can, just at least you can listen to this. Might give you some ideas. All right. So what I invite you to do right now is to sit in a comfortable seated position. That could be a chair. I like chairs, or sometimes I like to be on my couch, in all honesty. It's very comfortable. But the idea is to still stay alert, but comfortable. So when you find your seated position, take a moment to fidget around. If you feel a little bit fidgety, maybe shake your hands out a little bit. Right? Because it can be a little bit nerve-wracking when we're dealing with uncomfortable feelings and emotions. So let's just get any kind of energy out of our system. Shake, shake, shake. And when you feel ready, you can still keep going. Just place your hands on your thighs, either face up or face down. And gently close your eyes. And then bring your attention to your breath and just notice how you're breathing right now. Notice your chest rising as you inhale. Notice how it goes down as you exhale. Notice your heart beating. And then bring your awareness back to the breath. You don't have to change it. You don't have to try to deepen your breath. The way you are breathing right now is absolutely perfect. And if you need to make a mental note, we call this your anchor. So inhale through the nose down and feel your belly rise. Exhale out, feel your belly deflate. And if you need to, make the mental note in, out. And if your mind wanders, come back to that breath of mental in, out. And after a few moments of following your breath like this, consciously just bring to mind a difficult or troubling situation that you're experiencing now, or it's happened in the recent past. A scenario that holds a really intense emotion for you, whether that's sadness or fear, shame, anger. With your eyes still closed, just take a moment to fully recall the situation. Your mind is like a movie screen. Play it like a movie screen in your mind. It's not really happening to you right now, but imagine that it's happening in your mind. And it most likely will not feel comfortable. And that's okay, right? And if the emotion gets too tense or your mind starts wandering, come back to the breath as your anchor. In, out. In, out. And so when you're thinking about this situation, what bodily sensations are accompanying this emotion that you're feeling, or the emotions you're feeling when you bring up this scenario? So see if you can tell where in your body you're feeling this. Where are you feeling these emotions in your body? So when you observe that this emotion has come up for you, for example, does your mouth get dry? Are you breathing more shallowly? Are you clenching your jaw, your teeth? Do you feel a lump in your throat? Do you feel your belly tightening? Do you feel your feet go numb? So whatever happening in your body, just make a mental note of that. So what happens is when you feel the emotion in your body, it gives you a concrete way of disengaging from the story and looking at it from an observer's point of view. You're observing the emotion's changing nature, right? So notice how you're feeling this in your body. And again, you can keep coming to your breath if the experience is too intense for you. In, out. And then bring your focus to the part of the body where those sensations are the strongest. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say, oh, this is bad, and try to get rid of it. Simply be aware of them like you're watching it again on a movie screen, or you're watching someone else experience this. And so once you've noticed this, perhaps you say to yourself, it's okay, whatever it is I'm experiencing, it's okay. So accepting this, letting it be, perhaps noticing how maybe as you see where in your body this emotion, this feeling is happening, there's a shift in the way it actually feels in your body. Maybe it's softening, maybe it's growing in intensity and then softening, maybe it's just staying as it is. Either way, however it feels for you, that's exactly how it's meant to feel. It's perfectly okay. But just notice how it's changing. And then see if you can break down this emotion into parts. And so a lot of times, and I've talked about this before, when you feel something like anxiety, it really means twisted rope. There's a lot of emotions happening. Notice all the different emotions that are living inside you in this one place in your body. Is it fear? Is it powerlessness? Maybe it's curiosity. Just notice. And as you're experiencing this emotion, this wider range of emotions, right? Perhaps you're reliving the experience, an argument, a situation. Perhaps you start to cry. That's part of the experience if you feel like crying. What does it feel like to release those tears in your body? What does it feel like to feel tears coming down your face? What does it feel like to want to laugh, maybe, to release? And again, if you feel overwhelmed by these emotions, come back to the breath. And if you find yourself telling yourself, I'll always be feeling this way, there's something wrong with me if I feel this way, come back to the breath and return to the simple truth, which is that you're sitting right here, right now, experiencing this breath. And as you hold these thoughts, these emotions, these bodily sensations in your awareness, notice what the difference is between being in the emotion and creating the story, and then coming back out of it and looking at it from an outside point of view. Notice if you feel a different sensation going in between both. And when you're ready, come back to the breath. Notice how you can relax into the breath. Notice how bringing awareness to the breath into those parts of your body can actually help to release it. So inhaling, imagine this breath going to that place in your body. Exhale, allowing it to soften in your body. Exhale. And in your own time, open your eyes when you're ready. Okay, so as you are experiencing this and you are now in this new state of awareness, just take a moment to check in with yourself. Do you still feel the way you feel before when you started this meditation? A lot of times the answer is yes, but there might be a different way in which we look at it. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I know for myself that when I sit with my fears, my powerlessness, my uncomfortability, not being comfortable, it really helps me to see something in a really, really different perspective. Right? I feel more grounded, more willing to be okay with that. And maybe, you know what, the actual feeling left and you're like, you know what, I don't feel it anymore. That's great too. Sometimes that happens to me as well. I experience both. And you know what's really interesting is that when we do this, we can actually create more compassion for ourselves. And so I was actually going to do another meditation with you, but I think I'm going to leave this for next week. But I'd love to just end this with part of the loving kindness meditation, which can also be a way to start your day. So we can say to ourselves, may I be free from inner and outer harm and danger. May I be safe and protected. May I be free of mental suffering or distress. May I be happy. May I be free of physical pain and suffering. May I be healthy and strong. May I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, with ease. So just notice when you repeat that to yourself, what does that feel like when you say that to yourself? Just let that into your system. So I feel like before I end, I just want to end on this note that however you are feeling is exactly the feeling you need to be feeling, and you can still be with it from a loving, compassionate place, even if it's uncomfortable. So taking what we just did before, being with the emotion, feeling the thoughts, feeling the experience, knowing what it's like in our bodies, and allowing to look at it from an observer's point of view, we can take this into our day. We don't have to sit and meditate on it. A lot of times I'll notice what I'm feeling and I will begin to look at it from an observer's point of view and ask myself these questions of where do I feel this in my body? What thoughts are coming up with it? I don't attach meaning to it, because when we attach meaning to it, that's when we get hooked on the story. And the story is what can create us the uncomfortableness and the distress and dis-ease and wanting to see ourselves as separate from other people. So let's go into this day with some love for those uncomfortable feelings and some beautiful compassion for ourselves. And I will see you next week for Mindful Monday. And then later I will be going live again for day 13 of the challenge that I'm doing. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.